Hi and welcome to May's update from the Big Research Facility. So last month in April, I think I kind of steered away from production figures and kind of focused more on some other research and I suppose innovation type stuff that we were doing in the facility. So this month we will go back, I suppose, to look at production figures a little bit, but also I suppose I'll explain a little how our research figures at the moment are influencing our production figures and vice versa, and I suppose how the two go hand in hand. So we are a 3-week cycle, as I'm sure I've said numerous times on various occasions now in these updates. So last week was our service week, and we served 27 sows in that batch. That included around 4 or 5 gilts. Our goal really for every batch going forward, I suppose, is to try and get 6 gilts into each batch. And hopefully by the end of the year be in around the 50% replacement rate, which would be about 100 or so gilts for us. The week before service week, so was weaning, and we weaned out the second rep of a trial carried out in the farrowing house on split suckling and Teagasc, and that involved comprising, I suppose, litters into groups of 11, and they'll be followed all the way through to slaughter with different measures and samples at different time points along the way. The farrowing house itself has been reasonably good. Our born alive has been a little bit inconsistent, kind of between 15.5 and 17.5, and our consequential mortality is probably a little higher than what we'd like. We're currently weaning kind of between 12.5 and 13 out of the farrowing house, which is probably almost kind of a pig down on where we'd like to be. I suppose that takes me back to what I was saying earlier in the video, just about how the research work inhibits the production figures and vice versa. So that we're constrained in what we can do in certain ways due to the trials that are going on. Moving out of the farrowing house, then our weaning is still 27-28 days. Our weaning weights are still quite good, typically around 8.5 kilos, and then they go into the weaner accommodation for a little over 6 weeks. So it's around 45 days. And they're transferring still, say, between 33 and 35 kilos across to the finishers, and holding there up to an average of 22 and a half weeks. So we kind of sell over a 3-week block. So the batch is kind of split in 3, and it will be at week 21, week 22 and week 23. As I said, our sale weight year to date is still a little bit low, still around 89 kilos dead weight, and we're hoping to work in getting that up to 90 or above soon enough. So looking then, I suppose, at the research work in the farrowing house is quite busy. As I said, we have 2 trials ongoing there now with a number of months. The kind of four replicates, so it means it's kind of happening over 4 farrowings. And we have another trial intermingled in that then with washing techniques in the farrowing house, and both those trials then contain progeny pigs going all the way to slaughter and being measured out along the way. That, of course, then in the last video I talked about the new baby feed system we've just installed, and that will be tested in July and used for trial purposes in August. So that's kind of leading straight into that once these current trials are over, and that work then will take us kind of through to the end of the year in the farrowing house. So it doesn't leave us much room for manoeuvre on changing of routines or changing of any practices in the farrowing house. We're kind of locked in for a number of months in that protocol of what we're doing currently. So we are starting a new wet feed trial next week. Pigs will be moved down this week for a week's adaptation, and they will be starting next Wednesday week on a trial there, which is looking at feed blocks and feeding pigs in blocks of time as opposed to over in entire spans of the day. So I'll have a little bit more information on that for you in the next update. Looking towards the next update in June, we might do a little kind of 6-month kind of reflection on how we have done performance-wise across the board. So I look at the kind of the KPIs or the specific metrics we normally look at, and try and do some 6-month totals in that. But until June, that's the update for the facility for me.